Hi everyone, and welcome to And So On. My name is Lisa, and today I asked the question, what do I have to learn from a Viennese tailor? Okay, so today is a bit of a different kind of video. This is actually a sponsored video where I was asked to do a review of the website, the Tailor Academy. And so even though it is sponsored from the point of view that I'm being paid to create the video, all of my opinions are my own. And basically they asked me to go over to the website and have a look at the first 3 modules in their course and give my opinion on the website, on the quality of the content, on the quality of the instructions, and on the value provided. So the Tailor Academy is an online sewing and tailoring academy that was started by Stefan Wiemert, who is a 9th generation tailor. And he and his family have a tailor business in Vienna. And it was really interesting when I started to look at this, because when I first saw it, I thought, is this going to be applicable to home sewists? Is this more of a professional training program? And as I looked more into it, I realized that I think it has value for both. Like I said, Stefan's family has been in the business for 9 generations, and I loved when he was talking about why he decided to start this specific online academy. And what he said was that when he was first starting out as a tailor, being trained by his dad and his grandfather, he actually tried to apprentice with other companies to get their expertise, to learn more about their methods, to get more of a range of experience. And none of the other companies that he contacted in Germany or Austria were willing to take him on as an apprentice. And he also said that of all of those places that he looked at, none of them are currently still in business. And so he created the online academy because he wanted to continue to share the tailoring craft. And they only take on 1 or 2 apprentices a year, where they are in Germany, in Austria, of course, Vienna, in Austria. And so this gave him the opportunity to reach more people, which I thought was a really interesting idea of the fact of a craft slowly being lost over time, and how we can now use the internet and the fact that we're all so interconnected, we can share all of that experience online. So in this case, this is a course that you do over 2 years, and you do it in modules, and every module is attached to one project. So you can go on and you can do the first one for free. You have a 2-week trial where you can do the first class, and every 2 weeks they release another module to you, and each module is based on one garment. So each module builds on another, adding more and more skills. For this review, I had access to the first 3 modules, and technically those are within the first 6 weeks, where you have a money-back guarantee. So it was interesting to follow one upon the other upon the other. Each one was about an hour-and-a-half class, divided into different sections. Your video was great because you were able to access the different chapters. You could also watch it quicker or slower, and I know for me, if I'm just sitting there like listening, I really prefer to be able to speed up the video and be able to watch it at 1.25, 1.5, even 2.0 speed. So I love the fact that I was able to just put that speed up and get through the classes quicker. Now, the videos are dubbed. They're dubbed with an English speaker. And initially, I honestly thought that was really going to bother me, but it didn't. Somehow this person who was doing the voiceover seemed like he was doing it right in front of you. It didn't sound robotic. It didn't sound like he was reading a script. It really sounded like he knew what he was doing. I'd be surprised if he wasn't also a tailor or a sewist, because this person really understood what was going on. And as you're not mostly looking at Stefan himself, you're more looking at his hands and his perspective, I found it pretty seamless. I really didn't notice the voiceover very much at all. So I would say from that point of view, that did not bother me. Now for each section, you do get your patterns. You get the pattern to print off in A4, copy shop, or regular letter size, and you get it in several different patterns from a 32 to a 56. So the size 56 in German, the German size 56 is up to a 56-inch bust. So that's a pretty good size range, I would say. I was looking at the True Bias website, and theirs goes up to a slightly smaller bust, I think maybe 52. So I think going up to a 56-inch bust is great. On top of that, when you hit the 3rd module, you get access to over an hour-long video all about adjusting patterns. And he takes some pretty, some cases that are maybe would be more difficult, like going from a smaller bust size and having to increase greatly to the hip size, or having a smaller hip size and having to increase the bust. And he really goes over to how to make those changes. On top of that, he shows you a fitting. He shows you how you go through and how you do the fitting. And so what I really liked about that is if I was someone who wanted to set up a sewing career, those are practical things that I need to do. And that was kind of the overall sense of value for me. Was it wasn't a home sewing course. And so you really were kind of getting a behind the scenes on what do professional sewers, tailors do? How do they approach it? What's their workflow? What order they do things in? For instance, he finished, on all three that I watched, he finished the seams on the overlocker first. Whereas most home sewing, they have you sew the seam and then finish the edges. But in this case, he finished almost all the edges before he started sewing. A lot of the hand techniques were so fascinating. I love the idea of hand finishing and how that takes a garment from here to here. You know, for me, I'm an intermediate level sewist, I would say. And I think where my pieces sometimes fall down is in those last few steps. That last hem, seeing him do a blind hem by hand, that was really great. Seeing him sew on a button, like something as simple as sewing on a button, I swear I watched that 3 times. I've sewn on plenty of buttons. I've also had plenty of buttons fall off. And so all of those finishing details, even how to, he even showed you how to hold your thimble and where on your finger to be pressing it, how to use that, because he said if you do that in the wrong place, you will put pressure on the ligaments in your finger, and long term, you could have problems in your hands. That's something that is an occupational hazard that you have to be aware of. For all of these patterns that you receive, you have access to those patterns to use professionally, to make and to sell. Now, they say it's almost $7,000 worth of patterns. I mean, I guess they're counting like all the different sizes and all the different versions. I don't know that I call it 7,000. I think there are 52 patterns. I could totally see if you had all of those 52 patterns at your disposal, you knew exactly how to make them, exactly how to alter them. You could take that stable of patterns and absolutely have private clients that you could make, you know, mother of the bride dresses or a tailored coat, or like all those things that people go to a seamstress for bespoke clothing. Following this, you would absolutely have a stable of patterns that you could use to satisfy pretty much any customer. So from the point of view of if you wanted to become a tailor or a seamstress, and you wanted to start from scratch, maybe you're not near a major center where you can study that. Maybe you prefer to work from home, prefer to work at your own speed. You have one new module every 2 weeks, and the whole course takes 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, you can actually do a certification test and get a full certification from the Tailor Academy. The other thing you can do is just do a few of the modules to pick up some of those tips and tricks. And he will literally say, as he's going through, here's another pro tip, here's a pro tip, here's a pro tip. And I actually bought a few things yesterday based on some of the techniques that I saw. For me, I found it fascinating to watch the process, watch the skill. He was working obviously on a industrial sewing machine. All of his techniques, even just watching his hands, I found really interesting. I think the quality of the video is very good. You get very close up. You can absolutely see every detail. It's not about listening to him. He's not on camera talking to you as much as you're seeing his hands and like the experience, right, in those hands go through every step. Now, of the 3 patterns that were made, I could see making the third one the most. The first one is a simple V-neck A-line dress. Perfectly sweet, pretty, great for beginner sewists, I would say. Still got a lot of value just watching the way he sets the pattern. He always uses white chalk, even on white fabric. He uses white chalk to outline the pattern. The way he cuts, all of the little very precision things along the way that make the difference between a garment being just a little bit off or exactly the way you want it. Cutting tips, like I said, hand finishing tips, hem finishing, all that kind of stuff. Second was a skirt, a gathered skirt, again with a zipper. Very cute. I would totally make it. You know, in general, the patterns are not trendy. they're classic. And I think that's for a reason, right? If you think of a classic tailor shop, you're going to be getting classic designs, not trendy designs. But in terms of, you know, the stable of skills that you're going to accrue through time, I think that there's a lot of value there. So the third one is a dress. I'll put in a picture. This dress I could see making. I think that when we got to that third module was when I got to the point where I was slowing down, I was listening more, I was taking more notes. I could see going back in and following that one from beginning to end to learn how to make this dress. Now that dress is lined just from the bodice up. I have never lined a dress. Except for one little girl's dress, I've never lined a dress. So seeing that up close was really useful. And I could see going back in and doing that dress from top to bottom. The next module after that was going to be a jacket. And then the one after that was going to be a pair of pants. So you can see how, you know, over time, every module, you're adding more skills. So for someone like me, the value would probably be doing the first 5 or 6 modules to kind of fine tune some of my skills and really, you know, get some of that really beautiful finishing that will take my sewing to the next level. I don't know that I would do the full 2-year course unless it was something that I wanted to do as a business. But if you know anyone who is looking to get into tailoring, who perhaps is in a smaller market and wants to start as a seamstress, this is the kind of, you know, online course that I think could be really useful. Okay guys, that's all for me. I will be back very soon. I have a whole pile of fabrics that just arrived, ready to sew up for spring. I also have one more piece left in my winter capsule, a pair of pants. Those will all be coming up in the next week. I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are sewing, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.